Hey guys, this is Aziel here, and I'm back with a rather brief devlog this time. Uh, Today I'm just going to be going over the Paladin class, or the real name, which is the Palyth class. And this class, as I said, is more like a sword and board warrior class that you can use, and its main element is light element. And as you can see in this chart here, with the elemental chart, its only weakness is darkness. So it's actually a really well-rounded defensive class. Has a lot of HP, and as you can see here, these are the base stats of the class. And yeah, this is I'm actually pretty proud of this class here, because in games in general, my favorite style of gameplay has always been like the knight with like the holy knight aesthetic and all that stuff. That's always my favorite. I love that. So I really took some extra time and care to really spruce this up and really make it fancy and fun. And I think I achieved that. I mean, I'll let you guys be the judge when the game comes out. But the basic rundown of this class is that you want to use your shield ability a lot to block attack. It's called the Saint Shield, and right now it has a 10 frame window. So if you're playing on a controller, it'll be the right trigger button. If you press it right when you're getting hit, you'll parry. And as you can see on the bottom right corner of the screen, it consumes a class action point to block. And if you don't hit the parry, it consumes a point. But if you hit the parry, you're good. And it won't consume anything. And it restores 10% of your HP and your MP. And it's a really powerful thing for boosting your damage, essentially. In this class, you don't actually have your MP bar isn't a shield bar, so to speak. Like every other class, the MP drains when you get hit and acts like a shield, and then when you have 0 MP, you start taking damage from your actual health. In this class, MP functions sort of differently. It actually functions more like a sort of like a damage modifier meter. Basically, the higher your MP is to full, the more damage all of your sword skills with this class will do. So basically, if you're at max MP, all your sword skills will do max damage, and you do a lot of damage in this class if you're at max. However, if you take one hit, you lose half of your maximum MP. And also, if you use your overdrive and you don't have a certain skill online, which is Sync Slash, it'll consume all of your MP and your damage will go back to null. Well, not null, but pretty low. It's kind of pitiful how low your damage is when you have low MP. So MP management is still important with this class, but if you're at 0 MP, you're not as vulnerable as the other classes, because you always have your shield, your active shield online if you have a class action point. And for the attacks of this class, it has the Saint Slash attack, which is when you hit 9 class action points, you'll automatically get a state which applies the Saint Slash state, and it'll attack one target with like these cool like holy strikes, and it initially does 4 strikes and depending on how many class action points you have left, it'll do an additional strike for each point, and it reduces all of your points down to 1. So it's essentially you can get up to an extra 8 slashes out of the sync slash attack if you're at max class action points. And so it's really strong and really powerful. Another thing is, if you activate your overdrive while you have the sync slash state, you won't consume any MP from your overdrive. Usually, as soon as you activate overdrive, it immediately consumes all of your MP. But that's not the case with this class. It consumes your MP after the overdrive is finished. But if you have the sync slash on deck, it doesn't reduce your MP back to 0 when the overdrive is done. So you can actually get 2 overdrives back to back, essentially, if you do it right. Because immediately after your overdrive, you use your sync slash attack, and you're still at max MP. So if you want to eke out another overdrive attack to finish off the enemy, you can pretty much get 2 overdrives off back to back, which is pretty cool. Pretty unique thing. As far as this class's overall damage, its damage output compared to the other classes, it's kind of middle of the road. It's decent if you take advantage of the class's attack properties, which is all of its attacks. Well, I should say not all, but most of its attacks, its class abilities, have break properties. And anything in this game with a break property it does triple damage to frozen opponents. So if you're building your deck around this class, you want to add cards that freeze the opponent so you can take full advantage of the damage capabilities of this class. And the first class ability is Shield Toss, and it actually removes all the buffs from the opponent, and it does break damage, and it does really good critical damage. So if you crit with it, it does a lot of damage. For the second ability, the class ability, which is when you select the second artillery slot, it's actually a unique attack. Basically, there's 2 attacks in one at this. If your health is below 100%, she'll actually use an ability that restores a portion of her HP and her MP. And so it's really useful for survival sake. However, if your HP is at full, she'll use a sword attack, which it's actually inspired by the Confiteor skill from Final Fantasy XIV, where she'll swing and a giant sword will come out from underneath the enemy, and it's powered up by the MP that I was talking about earlier. So this is technically a sword attack, so it'll do break damage, and it's one of the class's strongest abilities, especially if you strike a frozen opponent with it. And so and then the third ability, Shield Bash, she'll just ram the opponent with her shield, and this is a little unique because it actually stuns the opponent, and so you can kind of string some attacks together after this attack to keep the opponent stunned and keep the offensive going. And so yeah, those are like the 3 main class abilities of the class. And another thing I want to point out is that her basic attack, her weapon attack, is a standard thrust and strike attack. But what's unique about this weapon attack is that it actually procs on its own. Whereas for other classes, Zola will only use her weapon attack if you have no other cards queued and you're still early into the phase. But with the Palyth class, she will use her weapon attack randomly, and it's also powered up by the MP meter too. So with that, you can actually interrupt some enemies. Like, let's say an enemy is frozen, well, she might just use her weapon attack while the enemy is frozen before she uses any one of her class abilities that does break damage. And the reason I have this in here is because it's sort of a trade-off where you can't just completely build a deck solely around freezing the opponent. It's really more of a defensive class that takes advantage of enemies that are frozen for increased damage. But you can't just become a complete powerhouse and just freeze lock the opponent. At least not with this class. There's other classes that are more designed to do that, like the Crazy Warrior, which I'll showcase in another devlog. So, but this class is more of it takes advantage of frozen opponents with the break damage, but I sort of put that in there to kind of make it a little bit different. You kind of have to take a different approach because of that. But the thing is, the weapon attack does a lot of damage. Again, because it's a sword, if her MP is high, it does a lot of damage. So you're not really. It's not a bad thing if she uses it. You actually kind of want that, because you can kind of just whittle the enemy down with her basic attack, especially if you have a certain card called what's it called? Weapon boost or something like that, where when the next weapon attack she uses is boosted by 50%. And so you can pack a lot of those cards into your deck, and she can take full advantage of it with this class, since using her basic attack is sort of the kind of the focus here. But yeah, I tried to balance the use of her sword and her shield. And I think I found the right combination where you use her shield a lot, but at the same time you use the sword a lot too, and you really get that holy warrior aesthetic going. And one last thing is that I actually have if your class action points are 5 and above, and you get hit by an attack that would kill you, she actually will get a revive. It'll consume like 4 of your class action points, but it'll prevent you from dying, and actually recovers like half your HP or something like that. So I think it's really solid and it's really stable. And this class actually won't even be unlocked until the post game, because it's so powerful. And it's in the post game, there's a lot of attacks that are really fast and really hard to deal with. And so because you unlock this class so early into the post game, it's a really solid class for people who kind of want to, I don't want to say coast through post game, but sort of be able to get through it a lot easier than if they were playing a different class. So yeah, this is the Palyth class, and yeah, let me know if you guys think it's interesting or looks cool and whatnot. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention is that the MP bar, it also speeds up the rate at which your cards scroll in. So if her sword meter is high, the class is much faster, whereas if it's low, it's a lot slower. So there's a lot riding on NP management with this class. And blocking also actually restores, well, perfect blocking restores like 10-20% of her maximum NP too. So it's kind of a compact kit, and everything kind of works off of each other with this class, which is what I'm aiming for with each class. They all feel kind of unique, and they all work off. It's like a solid kit. Like nothing is in there just for the sake of being in there. Everything has a purpose. with all the abilities and whatnot. And if the player takes full advantage of it, they'll be rewarded with a higher score, because the more you use the class's abilities, the higher your score will be at the end of each fight, and the better you'll do in general in battle. So yeah. Alright. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, and take care, guys.